The next team I picked was actually the Knicks because they did quite a few things this offseason as well. Everything the Knicks have done doesn't show up on there, but a couple things they did was they re-signed Julius Randle, 4 years, 177 extension. They gave Derrick Rose 3 years, 43 million. I mean, you could say like, hey, Julius Randle, I mean, he's not like a superstar or whatever, but I'm gonna give the Knicks the benefit of the doubt because you're playing in one of the biggest markets. You've been bad for so long. Last year, you finally got some excitement. People could say you guys overplayed expectations. You made it to the playoffs. You got your fan base back into it. Just keep a competent roster out there, bro. Like you gotta that culture needs to get just a change. And it has, right? Like with Thibodeau in there, and I forgot who the GM was. The Knicks are, they're on the right track. They're starting to change things around, become a competitive team. So I don't mind either one of those, honestly. The Julius Randle extension, even re-signing Derrick Rose. Yes, D Rose is a little bit on the older side, but I do think D Rose has good years left in him. So I really like that one. They re-signed Alec Burke. I don't have his stats pulled up, but I feel like I would hear kind of through like just like the wire that he was actually playing pretty good for the Knicks last year. So for whatever that's worth, they re-signed him. They re-signed other people, but those are just the three that I'll mention. And then their additions. It says on the screen Kemba Walker, right? They got him. OKC waived him. Knicks picked him up 2 years, 17 mil, which is good, right? It's not a big commitment, and they're not breaking the bank for him. Uh, on average, 8.5 a year over 2 years for Kemba. It's not a big commitment. If he comes in there and he plays really well, then you're thinking, yo, that's a steal. And if he comes in, he doesn't live up to expectations, whatever expectations you may still have of him, you say, okay, we're not committed for the long term. So I really like that one for them as well. However, you want to do it now, if you want to do D Rose as the starter, Kemba off the bench, or however, I think the Knicks have two really good point guards now. And then the other signing that they did was the Evan Fournier. I'm not going to butcher his name because I'm trying to be respectful. Evan Fournier, four 4 years, 78 million. This one I do have a problem with. I'm like, Evan Fournier. It's not because I've always hated on him. I just don't like the 4 years, 78 million commitment to Evan Fournier. I I don't like it, man. I don't know what you think about that, but
He's
that's probably
28. Why? What's the problem?
I just think it's an overpay for him. Like I've never been, high on his game. Like, has he ever been on a team that's been like a contender? Like he was in Orlando for all those years and they sucked or they were like first round exit. It seems like he's just majority points. He doesn't bring much more to the table. I'm just
Dude,
not the
that's
biggest fan of him.
that's what they need, man. This is the biggest thing that they have a problem with. Like if that's your biggest problem with it, I'm happy with the signing.
No, my biggest my I don't mind them getting Fournier, dude. I just don't like the price. 78 million over 4 years. It's like 19 and a half a year. I mean, but that's what we're saying, right? That's just the way that the league is right now. Like all these dudes are free agents. People are getting picked up quickly. No pun intended, because the Knicks have gotten in quickly. Guys are getting snatched up quickly, and sometimes you have to overpay on a guy, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. So that's just the one that I'm like, maybe if you get him for 4 years, 60, maybe you're thinking, okay, it's not as bad. I just don't like the 78. I don't even like the 4 years really. I like three. Or if you wanted to give him
Like
like three, if you wanted to
the
give him
pro
like 3 years, 60 even.
the problem is if you don't give him that, dude,
Someone else will.
he'll easily go to another good ass team, which I have said before. The Nets. The Nets with Fournier, that would have been crazy, dude. Patty Mills and Fournier on the Nets
But the Nets
with
can't
the
offer
big
him
three.
that.
Yeah, they could. They just pay more luxury tax. Why wouldn't they?
It's that simple? You're just like, hey, we'll just keep getting everyone and like whatever.
Yeah, bro. Look at the freaking Lakers. They're 200 million over in the luxury tax.
But I feel like a lot of that is from trades. It's like trades is not just like you just keep signing people to crazy deals and then your books just go out to.
So
I
what
feel like,
happened with Kevin Durant?
well, when he resigned with the Nets right now,
Yeah.
yeah, they had enough cap space to get him, and then they just re-upped him. And then outside of that, all these other deals that they're making are super tiny. Like they're not giving Blake Griffin a big contract or Patty Mills. They're not giving him 70 mil.
Yeah, but then those guys, they don't really deserve 70 mil. Like Patty Mills is an older guy.
Hey, I think that's the one we can disagree on. I've never been a big fan of Evan Fournier. 4 years, 78. Like I said, I
Compare
understand.
him. Patty Mills is 33. This dude's 28.
No, look,
5 year difference.
I understand why you have to do it, but like I said, I don't have to like it. But that's honestly the one thing that I could point out that I didn't like from the Knicks. We move on down. They drafted all these guys. Let's not really give much effort into that, but they drafted all these rookies. Who knows what any of them are going to become? I don't expect any of them to just get thrust into the rotation. They lost Reggie Bullock and Norvell Pell. I mean, I guess, like, do you really think anyone in New York is going to be upset that they lost these guys? I don't think so. We move on. Good.
So what's my bad? Are you gonna say the whole lineup later?
Yeah, I was going to get into it right now, the depth chart, and then
Okay,
just
go.
kind of get your thoughts on it. So this is me assuming that this is what they're going to do, but I'm assuming they're going to do D Rose at the starting guard, quickly or point guard, quickly at the starting shooting guard, RJ Barrett starting small forward, Julius Randle starting four, Mitchell Robinson, which gets lost in the sauce. He got hurt last year. He wasn't there for the Atlanta series. He's going to come back this next season, starting five, shot blocker, rim protector, off the bench. I probably Kemba Walker. I want to say you could flip him or D Rose from game to game. Who's the starter? Who's the backup? Kemba Walker off the bench. You got Evan Fournier. I want to say backup too, but he might end up playing more minutes than quickly. But I just feel like the Knicks, they'll probably just do that Ginobili role where it's like you're not gonna start, but like you're still gonna end up playing 30 minutes. I just feel like they'll bring him off the bench. I'm assuming Alec Burks at the backup three, Obi Toppin backup four, and Nerlens Noel at the backup five. I honestly like,
Wait, they
it's
re-signed
confident.
Ernest? They re-signed Ernest though?
Yeah, they re-signed him.
Okay.
They re-signed. I guess I'll just say a couple more since we're bringing it up. They re-signed Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson, Derrick Rose, and Randall and Alec Burks. They re-signed all those guys.
Okay.
So
I,
what do you
I
think
think
about that 10 man?
it's definitely an improvement. 100%, man. There's a lot more scoring
Mm-hmm.
and they still they were a pretty good defensive team last year and they still keep those main guys that were part of that defense. So I don't see any problems.
Yeah, it's similar to like Utah. They really didn't lose much, and you get Kemba, you get Evan Fournier, re-signed D Rose, Randall, Obi Toppin is a name to look out for. He didn't have the best rookie season, but you think about another year experience. Maybe he takes a lead. Maybe the Knicks ease him on, give him some more minutes, get his feet wet. I think the Knicks have a really competent 10-man rotation. I know in the playoffs it shrinks. They say it gets to 8, 9, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing to have a competent 10. That's great to have, an overabundance of competent players. So I do think the Knicks had a great offseason, and I think that they are going to improve on last year's record. I really like the Kemba Walker signing. I feel like Kemba still has some more basketball in him. I know he's had some injuries, but he's back. He's in his hometown now. I do think he's gonna like eat that up, because one of his like college highlights was that crossover step back when he was at UConn. He did that in Madison Square Garden. So Kemba's back in the Big Apple. I really like it for the Knicks, man.